Risk of Rain 2 is a wonderful game to play with your friends, and I need to get better at it. You see, my friends are pretty damn good. One of them is quite better than the rest. His name is Scythe, he is my best friend, and I think it'd be really cool if I could play better than him. So, in order to force myself to be better, I'm gonna get all of the Risk of Rain characters to Mastery. Now, for those of you wondering what that means, let me start off by explaining the difficulty system. In the Drizzle difficulty, the difficulty is reduced, and I recommend new players start here. Time affects difficulty scaling in a run, and in Drizzle, that affection is about 50% slower than normal. You start off with 70 extra armor, which roughly equates to negating 40% of the damage that you take, and base health regen starts at about 50% faster, 1.5 health regen per second after not taking damage compared to the base value of 1. Rainstorm is awesome, and that's the way most people, including myself, normally play, or at least from my perception, and it's the way the game is supposed to be played with 0 modifiers. Monsoon, however, is the hardest difficulty available in normal runs, and the time scaling is 50% faster, and the player health regen is 40% lower. The reason that's all important, getting mastery is achieved by beating the game on Monsoon. You beat the game by either killing Mithrix, which, for all intents and purposes with the game's lore and gameplay, is a god, or by obliterating yourself at an obelisk. So, without ado, now that you understand a little bit of the challenge, let's get right into it. A lot of these characters just boil down to being just one run, and Commando was kind of like that. He was a bit of a challenge, but honestly not that bad. As long as you roll your iframes from your roll and manage your right click to be able to pierce through groups, you can pretty well get to the end of the game. I'd like to note that on one of my runs in particular, I got to Mithrix and failed to kill him. I just didn't have enough items. I knew that it would be a long shot to get him, but I went for him anyways because I was greedy. As a note, if you do want to try this challenge, getting all mastery skins for some ungodly reason, if you have any notable difficulty with the teleporter boss right before Sky Meadow, do a rerun and obliterate. I could have done this with this run, but I got greedy and ended up paying the price over the next 2 days because of it. That being said, I did get damn lucky with some red items. I got 3 natural drops from monster kills and 1 from a chest in Sundered Grove. Wait a minute, items from monster kills? That sounds like a mod! Well, it's not. I use 3 artifacts for all my runs nearly, and it's just because they're fun, they allow me for a little bit more control over my build, and I like it that way. Although, initially I hated it because I wasn't used to it. Anyways, I'm using Swarms, Command, and Sacrifice. It's what my friend started using probably a few months ago, and I've just been using it ever since. It just ends up making the game a lot more fun, a lot less random, and it makes a lot of the runs feel more like I had a lack of skill rather than the game was being bullshit, which generally is the way that it should be. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of roguelike games because it just feels like you get one bad roll and the entire run is worthless, which is just not that fun, at least to me. Basically, what these artifacts do, for those of you who aren't informed, is twice as many bad guys, but every bad guy has half the health. So I make Risk of Rain into a horde shooter with more bullet hell than it already had. Monsters drop items on death, but chests no longer spawn. This really sucks in the early stages when you get bad luck, and especially when the early stages spawn less monsters to begin with. But in the late game, you'll be swimming with items, and the third artifact is being able to choose my items. So if an uncommon item shows up, I can choose between my hits being able to launch missiles, my hits being able to electrocute people. When an enemy dies, they explode and kill other enemies, and so on and so forth. Just, again, makes it a little bit more I failed than RNG did the work. They're kind of like the skulls in Halo, and speaking of which, if this run gets, I don't know, 300 likes by the end of the week, I'll do a monsoon run with all artifacts on stream and off stream until I beat it, and I'll make a video on that as well. It'll kind of be like Lasso in Halo 2, but more painful. Moving into the fastest starting character, Huntress. She's fragile, but she's literally zooming around and teleporting at the speed of sound. My first session I could have gotten her, but a fucking shrimp killed me, dragging out the clock. It didn't really matter much though, because the next day on my second run, turns out abusing kill effects on her is pretty powerful. Bandito Dorito is up next, and my first few runs were so frustrating, I rage quit and deleted the footage. Yeah, this challenge is not for the faint of heart. I nearly quit the entire video with this character, and it's only the third character I had to do. But after some deaths, I discovered the power of his alternate ultimate and obliterated enemies on my way to obliteration and got mastery. And now introducing the best character in the game, Multi!
And the slimmest for the champions. I am lost inside the game, Funny how you said it was the end, Then I went did it again, I told you long ago, on the road, I got what they waiting for. I got what they waiting for. I don't run from nothing dark. It's your soul, you're still in my blend. You was never really looking for me anyway. When I'm back up at the top, I wanna hear you say, he don't run from nothing dark. It's your soul, you're still in that the break is over. Yeah.
For the far less exciting Engineer. And the last survivor I'm doing this bit for, it's Artificer, baby! The eagle-eyed among you might notice that I did a little bit differently with these three characters. You see, with Multi, Engineer, and Artificer, I already had mastery before I even started recording for this video, and I'm not about to re-earn it for no reason. So I'm just going to talk to you for a moment about what worked with all three. And really, a couple of these are things that work with almost every character. Great example, attack speed up. That is a universal bonus for literally every character in the game, and on Multi in particular, it is very powerful. With Multi and Engineer, on-hit effects are absolutely godlike, and the only real difference between the builds on both of them that I did is on Multi I did Leeching Seed for my healing, and on Engineer I did Bungus for my healing. Basically, that just equates to the faster attack speed of Multi, not to mention the direct healing that Multi gets from Leeching Seed is beneficial. And with Bungus for Engineer, his turrets are always stationary, and they will always be able to get the Bungus effect. So it's effectively like, if you're standing still, you're getting 3 times the effect you normally would. With Artificer, I got mastery with a friend. However, if you are going to get it solo, I recommend using the alternate left click, the nano bombs, and the flamethrower for your abilities. I don't think the shift ability can be swapped out, or if it can, I haven't unlocked it yet. But that's just what's worked for me in the past. Hope it helps. Moving into the most broken endgame character I played, Mercenary. Starting out with Mercenary was a bit difficult, in no small part because I hadn't played him in a while. Once I got a good run, I became God, abusing the iframes from his abilities along with brutes to make sure I had jacked health when I wasn't invincible. And I mean, oh my God, you just have to see this for yourself. I'll let some of the raw footage play completely uncut from the end of the winning run. Fucking 6. Alright, wait until they get close. Until they get close. Okay, cool. I only needed to hit them once with my ult for all of them to just die. Holy shit. Broken. Busted. Out of this world. Incredibly just dumb build. How? How? Devs, how? How is this shit allowed? Tell me. Tell me how this shit is allowed. How? 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 How is this shit allowed? Explain this to me. Explain how this is allowed. Explain to me how this is balanced. Oh my god. And people will be out here, oh, Mercenaries is a skill character. Maybe when you first boot up the game, dog, but not when you're on stage 8. Even multi takes more skill at this stage, because at least at that point you gotta fucking manage your movement with your ult. On this one, your ult is your movement, so all you gotta do is spam R whenever you see bad guys. He was one of the easiest characters once you got a good run going, and honestly, I dare say that he's broken, stupid, overpowered, basically a bullshit character. 10 out of 10, you have to give him a try at least a couple times. The plant robot, also known as Rex, is easily the easiest character by far if you play him right. I walked into the first run thinking he was going to be one of the hardest characters, and quite frankly I thought it would be so difficult to play, I didn't even bother unlocking him for a very long time because I, again, thought that he would be a very difficult character to play. I could not have been more wrong. Let me lay out the timeline. I unlocked him at 8:30 a.m. I took a break and got some breakfast. At 9:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. respectively, on the same run, I unlocked his alternate right click and alternate ultimate. All of that was on the first run I ever did with him. I took a break, watched some YouTube, I did one failed run on Monsoon, and on my third run ever with Rex, I got Mastery. He's not broken like Mercenary, but if you understand that he's a slow movement, high attack speed character with a healing bonus, you'll do just fine. Just don't full tilt into either category, and he's a really easy character to play as. I mean, I unlocked Mastery on my third run ever with this character, and if I can do that on my third run ever, I'm sure you can do it too. Getting Mastery on Loader was meh. It wasn't particularly difficult, but it wasn't really easy, and it also wasn't all that fun. A lot of these other characters have been interesting or cool in their own way, but I mean, Loader just wasn't all that fun. And Acrid. I got Acrid after a few attempts because I died a few times, but I'd like to talk about what actually happened. Acrid was amazing from stage 1 with amazing ability for crowd control even with no equipment. And it was enough to get me to stage 8 where you can obliterate and kill the teleporter boss twice before my successful run. So what happened? I mean, I got to the end goal and didn't go for the obliteration. What's going on there? Well, I whiffed. Kind of. You see, I have the object permanence of a frog, and when the Celestine portal showed up so I could obliterate, it wasn't in my line of sight, so I just hit the main portal. All of that for a skin that doesn't even look good. I mean, there's some others I'm not a fan of as well, but I mean, 2 misclicks cost me 3 hours for a skin I genuinely think the original one looks better than. Kinda has me questioning the whole run. Do I even continue with the video? I mean, what if the other skins are just as bad or worse than this one? I mean, I know this whole video is about vanity and pride, but 2 out of the 3 remaining characters are probably going to be the most difficult in the game from my perspective. I could be stuck here for hours. No. No! The sunk cost fallacy won't allow for this. I have to press onward. Moving on to the Captain. The Captain is basically a walking, talking anti-aircraft gun that can call in satellites to bombard enemies from orbit. If you want to do crit chance, you can do good because of the shotgun and airstrike. If you do on-kill effects, you can glass the whole map like what I did with Bandit. And if you jack up attack speed like I did with on-hit effects, you essentially become the ADATS SPAA tank from the US Army. It's pretty damn cool. The Railgunner is supposed to be a high critical strike or one-shot damage character. And on my first run with Railgunner, that's how I played. And I got pretty damn far, but I realized I could just play her as a high mobility multi, and well, I gained the ability to fly due to jacking up my attack speed and ended up with a dub. Void Fiend is an interesting character, and probably one of the hardest to play in the game. Getting on Mastery will prove difficult, or so I thought. Once you get a good run started on stage 1, it's not that difficult. That being said, I did discover some movement tech that made the moon much easier. Overall, this experience made me a better player and made me realize that attack speed is fucking goated on literally every character. Obviously I didn't go super into the nitty gritty on any individual character. Well, that's because this video is already like 15 minutes long, and if I went into the nitty gritty, it would be like 45 minutes, and I'm not trying to publish a video that long, man. I don't have the attention span to edit that shit. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, 300 likes and I will regrettably be doing a All Artifacts Monsoon run. Maybe don't like this video. Maybe this is a shit video. I don't know. That's up for you to decide.